person on a budget here in 2021 looking for a new laptop and you don't know where to look. People have told you to go with some cheaper end PC laptops, or people have maybe even told you to go with an iPad, but I'm here to shift your mind and shift your thinking into thinking about getting one of these M1 MacBooks, whether it's the MacBook Air, the Mac Mini, or the MacBook Pro, and here's why. So the M1 MacBook has absolutely become one of my favorite devices to use, even over my iPad Pro at times, because of a few different things. Now, I broke down my 3 favorite things about the M1 MacBooks, and the reason why people who are on a budget, also people who are beginner content creators, should look at the M1 series as their new computing devices. Number 1 is design. Now, I know a lot of people are looking for that 16-inch M1 MacBook, and people are trying to figure out, like, why didn't they come out with a 4-port MacBook Pro, or, you know, even having that 16-inch. I do think that the 13-inch MacBook lineup with the Pro and the Air is absolutely stunning of a device. It is the sleekest device I've used in a while, and I think that 13-inch body style is perfect. So they're super lightweight, and the only bad part about the design of it, and it's probably the only downside I have to the computer, is the fact that it only has 2 USB-C ports, and it doesn't have the 2 USB-C ports on the other side. Even if you get an upgraded model of the M1 Chip MacBook Pro, you still only get the 2 USB-C ports. Now, I envision in the future that Apple will come out with higher end MacBook Pros, even when they come out with the 16-inch eventually, or even the 13-inch MacBook Pro that does have 4 ports. People will have that, but I do think that this is well enough for right now. Secondly would be the M1 chip itself. So Apple released this chip this year, and they had been talking about wanting to use their own chip, and it kind of like modeled what they did with the iPad Pros and the iOS lineup and the iPad OS lineup of them having their own chips. And so when they finally put this chip into the Apple MacBook lineup, and it's called the Apple Silicon M1 chip, it gave the MacBook some powers that we didn't think that the MacBooks would ever have. It gave it better battery life, it gave it better performance support, and for a lot of people, they don't understand what that means, but I've had a lot of people ask me questions about laptops in general, and one of the things I can say about this computer right here is that the battery lasts a very long time, and it is one of the fastest computers that I've ever used in my life, and it's well worth the money for sure. So for those in the market and they're starting out on a budget, the MacBook Air starts out at $999, and if you have the education bundle, then you can get that for $899. On the other hand, this MacBook Pro right here starts out at $1299. If you have the education bundle, then it comes in at $1199. And I think that is some of the best pricing that you can get for this type of computer. Now, for most people, the Pro would probably be my second option. I did use a MacBook Air for a very long time before I went up to a Pro, and for most people, especially students or beginner content creators, the Air is going to be very, very usable for you. Even if you think that it may not be enough power, the M1 chip alone allows that MacBook Air to do pro-like things when it comes to video editing, when it comes to photo editing, and doing other things of the nature when it comes to content creation. The Air can handle all of those things. Particularly, I went with the Pro because I have been doing some more intensive stuff on my MacBook, but then after getting it, and after seeing some of the tests people have run on the Air, I honestly think that the Air would have probably been alright for me too. Now, I am doing some 4K content with my video editing and things of that nature, but I have seen people show that the Air can handle it. Now, this bad boy right here will handle it just fine, and honestly, it handles it sometimes better than my 16-inch MacBook Pro, which is a problem for me at times because the 16-inch MacBook Pro costs twice as much money. So for those out there watching this video, before you go out and try to spend your money on a bigger computer because you think just because it costs more money, it does more, these M1 chips actually do a lot, and they pack a punch. That's what I can say about that. And the last thing would be the experience. So the experience of the MacBook actually got way better, not only because of the M1 MacBook, but also because of the new macOS. macOS Catalina was the previous generation of macOS software, and then they just released Big Sur. And Big Sur brought a whole new dimension of design for the Apple software when it came to MacBooks. It made everything look unison across the board, whether it was your iPhone, your iPad, or now even your MacBook. So for me, I get less confused now when I'm on my MacBook because all of my apps now look alike on my phone, on my iPad, and on my MacBook Pro. With the new software, also paired with the new M1 chips, some beginner content creators and also even bigger content creators can find themselves using some of the biggest files they can find on these computers, and it handles it very smoothly. Like I said earlier, with me editing 4K video, it handles it like a champ, and that is something a lot of people can't do with other computers. Now, that's not to say that other computers, like Intel-based computers or even PCs, cannot do the same thing. Honestly, I've never really had too many problems out of my 16-inch MacBook Pro. But that is to say that this base model computer right here, the M1 MacBook, does a great job of handling 4K footage and other labor-intensive computer assignments. And honestly, my favorite part about all of the new MacBooks since after 2019, honestly, has been these, updated keyboards. So I am a person that I am not a great typer, so I need a good keyboard in order to make me feel like I'm doing a good job. Most times I have to resort to using wireless or wired keyboards to make me have that nice keyboard typing feel. Now with the M1 MacBook Pro, one thing is that I am now back in a 13-inch body, which I have not had for about a year or so now, which is not that long of a time. But the last time I did have a 13-inch laptop, it was the butterfly keyboard, and I did not like it at all. But this right here is a beautiful typing experience. Like I said, I'm not a typing person, but I do like the experience of typing on this. It makes it feel like my 16-inch MacBook Pro, and also like the Apple Magic Keyboard that came out for the iPad lineup. And even the touch bar is not that bad, right? All in all, I say that to say that the M1 MacBook is for somebody. It may not be for everybody, but for people who are on a budget or people who are beginners in content creation, I think that is something they should look into, especially the Air. And if you think that you need to push that envelope a little bit more, then you can also buy the Pro. But my plugged in tip of the day is you get what you pay for. A lot of people reach out to me and ask me stuff about what they can buy for their computing devices, and they always come to me with this $200 computer, and I always tell them you get what you pay for. And speaking of which, the best way to get the most out of what you pay for is to use something like what MacPaw has and having Clean My Mac X. So Clean My Mac X is an application that you can install on your computer, on your MacBook, that allows you to make your Mac feel like new. At one click, this application can clear off unneeded files, it can look for malware, and it can also help maximize your RAM on your computer. Clean My Mac X has been something that I've put on all of my computers since I found out about Clean My Mac, and the good people over at MacPaw are offering a discount. So if you go down into the link in the description, you can get a discount on getting Clean My Mac X for your MacBook Pro so that you can get the most out of your devices and you get what you pay for. So those are my thoughts on the M1 MacBook Pro and also the M1 series. They are all great devices, the Air, the Mac Mini, and the Pro. Check a couple of links in the description if you're looking to check one of those out. And also leave a comment below the like button and let me know what you are using as a computing device right now, today, and what you're looking forward to using in 2021 maybe. As always, thanks for plugging in today, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you can stay plugged into your tech here in 2021 and beyond. But until next time, I'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace.